It started out like any other relaxing afternoon. The sun was warm, the house was quiet, and I was at my best friend Jenna's place, enjoying some much-needed downtime. We had planned a chill weekend, movies, snacks, and a bit of pampering. I had no idea that something so simple, so harmless on the surface, would change the way I looked at friendships, trust, and boundaries forever. If someone had told me that a casual massage would turn into one of the most confusing, heart-racing experiences of my life, I would have laughed. But what happened that day still plays in my mind like it just happened yesterday. Jenna and I had been best friends for years, inseparable since college. Her family treated me like one of their own, and I was especially close with her younger brother, Luke. He was kind, respectful, a little quiet, and always had that gentle charm people easily warmed up to. I never once looked at him as anything more than Jenna's brother. And I thought he saw me the same way. We all had that easy comfort around each other, like nothing could ever cross the line. But sometimes, the line blurs when you least expect it. Jenna had stepped out for groceries, and I was lying on the living room floor with a blanket under me, complaining about my sore shoulders after a long week at work. That's when Luke walked in. He offered to help, said he had learned some massage techniques from a friend in his sports therapy class. I hesitated, but it seemed harmless. We were family, or at least, that's what it had always felt like. At first, it really was just a massage. Calm, helpful, nothing weird. But then, something shifted. His hands slowed down, and the way he spoke changed, softer, more personal. I remember freezing for a second, trying to decide if I was just imagining it or if something really was different. The room grew quieter, like the air was thicker, charged with something unspoken. I kept telling myself not to overthink it. But it wasn't just in my head. The energy between us started to feel off. Not bad exactly, but not normal either. He wasn't saying anything wrong, and yet his tone made me feel like this wasn't just a friendly favor anymore. My heart started to race, and I wasn't sure if it was nerves or curiosity. Was I reading into it? Or was he actually crossing a line? That moment stretched longer than it should have, and before I could figure out what to do, something happened, something small, yet powerful enough to shift the entire situation into a space I never thought we'd be in. A space where emotions clashed with logic, where trust tangled with temptation. And just when I thought I had it all under control, that's when the real twist began. I could feel my breathing change. My mind was trying to stay calm, but my body had already sensed something different. I didn't move. I didn't say a word. I just lay there, waiting to see if I was overreacting or if Luke was really acting different. He hadn't said anything inappropriate, hadn't done anything completely out of line, but there was this unspoken shift that I couldn't ignore. His touch wasn't rough or aggressive, it was careful, almost too careful. Like he was holding something back. Like he wanted to say something but was afraid of how I'd react. I kept thinking about Jenna. What would she think if she walked in right now? Would she even notice the weird tension in the air, or was I the only one feeling it? The guilt started creeping in, not because I'd done anything wrong, but because I was questioning the intentions of someone who had always been like a little brother to me. But maybe that was the problem. Maybe he didn't see me that way anymore. I tried to casually ask him about his classes, just to break the awkward silence. He answered, but there was something in his voice, this softness that wasn't usually there. His hands were still on my back, slower now, and I realized he wasn't just focused on the massage anymore. He was lingering. Not in a clear or obvious way, but enough to make me wonder if there was something he wanted me to feel. Something he was too nervous to say out loud. The walls around us felt like they were closing in. Every second felt longer, heavier. My mind kept bouncing between logic and instinct. Should I sit up? Should I ask him to stop? Or was I misreading everything and about to make a complete fool of myself? What made it more confusing was that Luke had never made me uncomfortable before. In fact, he was always the guy who gave space, who never pushed boundaries. And maybe that's why it was hitting me so hard. This didn't feel like a joke or a moment of confusion. It felt intentional. And just when I thought I had figured out what was happening, when I almost spoke up, he said something. A few quiet words that changed the entire atmosphere. My heart dropped. I froze. Suddenly, I wasn't sure who I was more afraid of, him or myself. He leaned in just slightly and said, "You've changed, you're not like how you used to be." His voice was low, almost unsure, like he didn't know why he was saying it out loud. I didn't know what to make of it. I turned my head a little to look at him, and our eyes met for a split second. It wasn't just a casual glance. There was something deeper behind it, like he'd been holding back feelings for a while. My stomach twisted. Was this what I had been sensing all along? I sat up slowly, wrapping the blanket around myself, pretending it was just because I felt cold. I needed space to think, to breathe. Luke didn't say anything else right away. He just sat there on the floor, his expression caught between nervous and unreadable. I could feel the tension stretching between us like a rubber band, ready to snap. And all I could think about was Jenna. If she ever found out that something weird had happened between me and her brother, even something as small as this, it would destroy years of trust. And I wasn't even sure what this was. The rest of the afternoon dragged on with an awkward silence. Jenna came back, cheerful and completely unaware, chatting about dinner plans while I tried to act normal. But I kept catching Luke glancing my way when she wasn't looking. I didn't know what to do with that. It was like a wall had come down between us, and now we were both stuck on either side, unsure of the next move. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept replaying everything, his words, the look in his eyes, the way the air had shifted. I kept asking myself if I had done something to lead him on. Had I laughed too much around him? Had I accepted his help too freely? But deep down, I knew this wasn't about me doing anything wrong. This was about him crossing an invisible line, even if he wasn't fully aware of it. I considered telling Jenna the next day, just to clear my conscience. But I also knew how protective she was of her family. What if she didn't believe me? What if she thought I was the one making it complicated? And what if this thing between Luke and me, whatever it was just the beginning of something far more tangled than I could handle? The next morning, everything felt heavier. I woke up early, earlier than anyone else, and sat in the kitchen just staring into my cup of coffee. The quiet of the house wasn't peaceful, it was thick with everything unspoken from the day before. I couldn't stop thinking about what happened during that massage, and more importantly, what didn't happen, but almost did. That almost was what haunted me the most. Because in that moment, I had felt something shift between us, and now I couldn't pretend like it wasn't there. Jenna eventually walked in, humming, totally unaware. She smiled and talked about her plans for the day. I tried to keep up, nodding and forcing a smile, but I felt like a fraud. Luke walked in a few minutes later. The second I saw him, my whole body tensed. He gave me a quick look, one that was too careful to be casual. And then he acted like everything was normal. As if nothing had happened. That, somehow, was even worse. I couldn't take the pressure building up inside me, so I suggested we all go out for lunch. I thought maybe if we got out of the house, I could get my mind off it. But the universe had other plans. Jenna got a call from work, an emergency, and had to leave last minute. That left just me and Luke sitting in the driveway, pretending we hadn't just been thrown into another moment we didn't ask for. He offered to still take me out for coffee, saying we might as well not waste the plan. I hesitated, but I agreed. Maybe I needed closure. Maybe I needed to hear him say it was a misunderstanding. But deep down, I already knew this was going to push things further into the unknown. The drive was quiet at first. Then, halfway there, he finally said it. I know things felt different yesterday, he admitted, eyes fixed on the road. And I didn't mean to make it weird, but I'm not going to lie. I've felt something for a while now. My heart dropped. Hearing it out loud made everything real. Too real. The calm mask I'd been wearing cracked just a little. This wasn't just a moment anymore, it was the beginning of something that could ruin everything. And right then, his phone rang. It was Jenna. Luke looked at the screen, then back at me, unsure whether to answer. His phone kept buzzing in his hand, Jenna's name glowing across it. For a split second, I wondered if she somehow knew, if she could sense that something was off, even without seeing it. He finally answered, his voice steady. Hey, yeah, we're just heading to that little coffee place near the lake. There was a pause, and then I saw his face change. Subtle, but real. His eyes shifted, and he nodded slowly, not saying much, just listening. All right. Yeah, we'll be back soon, he said, then hung up. What was that about? I asked, trying to sound casual, but my voice came out tight. She just said she forgot her wallet at home. Wants me to check if it's in the living room, he replied. I nodded, but something about the way he said it didn't sit right with me. There was this flicker of discomfort in his voice, like he was holding something back. Still, I tried to ignore it. We continued driving, and soon we were parked outside the coffee shop, but neither of us made a move to get out. The silence between us was loud again, full of unfinished thoughts and everything we hadn't said. Just as I reached for the door handle, Luke turned toward me. There's something else, he said quietly, like he was preparing to confess something much heavier than just feelings. I froze. My fingers tightened around the handle, and I turned back to face him. What do you mean? I asked. He looked out the windshield, avoiding my eyes. The reason I offered to give you that massage yesterday, it wasn't just random. I overheard you and Jenna talking the other night when you thought I wasn't home. I blinked. My mind was racing. What did you hear? You said you were tired of your boyfriend not paying attention to you, he said, finally looking at me. That you felt unseen. I didn't plan to do anything, I swear, but when I heard that, I guess I just thought maybe you wouldn't mind a little extra attention. My stomach dropped. That conversation was supposed to be private. I'd confided in Jenna about how distant things had become with Ethan, how I felt like a ghost in my own relationship. And now Luke was using that moment, that vulnerability, to justify what happened? Before I could even react, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Jenna. Hey, did Luke say anything to you? Something weird? Just call me when you can. That one sentence hit harder than I expected. Because now it wasn't just me feeling like something had shifted. Jenna had noticed something too. And suddenly, I wasn't just worried about my own confusion anymore, I was afraid of what she might already know. Or worse, what she was about to find out. I stared at the message from Jenna, my heart pounding. My fingers hovered over my phone, unsure if I should call her right then or wait until I had more answers. Luke was watching me closely now, sensing that the moment had shifted again, but he didn't say anything. The tension between us was stretched so tight it felt like it could snap with a single word. I need to call her, I finally said. Luke nodded, but I could see worry creeping into his eyes. I stepped out of the car, walked a few paces away, and dialed. Jenna picked up almost instantly. Hey, she said, her voice lower than usual. I didn't want to say anything earlier, but something's been bothering me. I swallowed hard. What is it? She took a breath. Last night, I saw Luke acting strange. After I came back from the store. He was nervous, quiet. And when I walked past the living room, I swear I saw him looking at your phone when you left it charging. My blood ran cold. What? I asked slowly. I wasn't sure at first. I thought maybe I imagined it, she continued. But I asked him about it later, just casually. He denied everything. Said he didn't even touch it. But something didn't sit right. My mind flashed back to the night before. I had left my phone on the table while helping Jenna clean up. I hadn't even thought about it. And now, if Luke really had gone through it, what could he possibly have been looking for? I asked. Jenna was quiet for a second. That's what I don't know. But this morning, I checked his iPad, he left it open on the counter. And there were screenshots. From your phone. Messages between you and Ethan. I gasped. Wait, what? Yeah. I didn't open all of them, but I saw your name. And I recognized the messages because I remember you reading some of them to me. He must have sent them to himself. I felt like the ground under me was spinning. Luke hadn't just overheard a conversation. He had gone into my phone, read private messages, and used what he found to blur the lines between us. The massage, the timing, the words, it had all been calculated more than I'd realized. I hung up and walked back to the car, trying to keep my expression neutral. Luke looked up, hopeful. I know what you did, I said quietly. He didn't even try to deny it. I wanted you to see that I'm not like him. I wouldn't treat you the way he does. And you think invading my privacy proves that? I asked, feeling more disappointed than angry. There was a long pause. Then he finally said, I was going to delete everything. I swear. But the damage was already done. I walked away, phone in hand, ready to call Ethan, not just to explain everything, but to finally ask the one question I'd been avoiding. What if he had a secret too, one that Luke already knew? The walk back to Jenna's house felt longer than it was. Every step carried the weight of everything that had just happened, Luke's confession, Jenna's discovery, and the sick feeling that things weren't just messy, they were broken. I didn't look back at Luke. I didn't need to. Whatever connection he thought we had was based on crossed lines and broken trust. And now, nothing he could say would make it right. Once I got home, I sat alone in my room and finally called Ethan. He picked up, sounding distracted, like he was halfway through something else. Hey, I said softly. Can we talk? He paused. Sure. What's going on? I didn't beat around the bush. I told him everything. Not every detail, but enough. About Luke. About the message he overheard. About the screenshots. I expected Ethan to get angry, or maybe defensive. But instead, there was just silence. That's messed up, he finally said. But I guess I can't act like I've been fully present lately either. That sentence caught me off guard. What do you mean? He sighed. I've been distant. I know it. Work's been a mess, and I've just been shutting down instead of talking to you. But there's more. A few weeks ago, I started messaging someone I used to know. It never turned into anything, but it wasn't innocent either. There it was. The final truth. A twist I hadn't wanted but maybe needed. I didn't yell or cry. I just sat there, letting it all sink in. Both men had crossed lines, in different ways. One acted out of obsession, the other out of disconnection. And somewhere in the middle, I had lost myself trying to carry the weight of everyone else's choices. In the days that followed, Jenna and I sat down and talked everything through. She was angry, hurt, confused, but mostly heartbroken that her brother had betrayed someone she loved like family. Our friendship didn't fall apart. In fact, it got stronger. Because we chose to face the truth together instead of letting it tear us apart. As for Luke, he apologized again. He said he never meant to make things so complicated. I believed that part. But I also knew that forgiveness didn't mean forgetting. Some lines, once crossed, change everything. Ethan and I took a break. No loud breakup, no drama, just space to figure out if what we had was worth fixing. And me? I focused on healing. On boundaries. On learning that sometimes the people who hurt you don't look like enemies. Sometimes, they're the ones you trusted most. This story taught me that trust is fragile. That emotional infidelity can be just as confusing and painful as the physical kind. And that the truth, no matter how uncomfortable, is always better than silence. Because what my best friend's brother did during that massage wasn't expected, but what I discovered afterward changed everything. And in the end, it's not about who broke the trust. It's about how you rebuild yourself after it's gone. 24.